I'm absolutely privileged to invite the principal, sir, of Vidush Somani Institute of Technology and Research, Professor Dr. Hiren B. Patel, to share his thoughts on the emerging trends in the cloud computing. Over to you, sir.
So I'm Hiren Patel, heading with the Somani Institute of Technology and Research, which is a constituent institute of Kadi Sarva Vishwavidyalaya University. By a trust having more than 100 years of legacy, Sarva Vidyalaya Keloni Mandal, and being one of the most trusted and philanthropic institution in the region, SVKM is a family of more than 50,000 students and more than 3,000 staff members. If I go back to my research days, like I started my PhD back in 2008 at SVNIT Surat in cloud computing, and the data storage security in cloud computing. So means I used to refer the papers like the papers hype, myth, reality, buzz. Cloud computing is rather a reality or myth or buzz kind of paper. I refer many of them. And now after I think around 14-15 years, cloud is really a reality and not myth. And like at that time in 2005, Amazon started offering EC2 and storage services, right? So before I in fact explore different the trends in this cloud computing, I would like to tell you what sort of changes are happening across these last couple of decades. Like if you talk of year 2000. All right, and if you compare that with 2020, in Fortune 500 list, around 38% companies are only there. If you compare it with 2000 and 2020, so around 62% companies have moved, and even experts predict that in next 10 years, like by 2030, even 50% companies would be getting changed. So with these basic things, because there are a lot of technological, advancements and happening around the world, these leads to such sort of changes. Now the thing is, now let me come to the emerging technology. I don't know whether it is a right word, emerging technologies along with cloud computing, because cloud computing itself is a technology, and maybe there are few variants or extensions to the technology itself, and maybe there are technologies which are completely separate, but it is being used along with cloud computing to deliver the more better service. So like the very first technology, what I feel, in fact, even the last speaker, Mr. Lokesh, also rightly pointed that multi-cloud. So that is something where I personally see that, multi-cloud would be the thing which one really need to be concentrating upon in next few years. Like basically, X company is built on AWS, and it is acquired by Y company. And Y company is built on, let's say, Azure. So now we have, two different cloud computing platforms. So to avoid that vendor locking, we need a situation wherein, multi-cloud platform or multi-cloud technology should be the reality over here, so that the company, both the things can go parallel. So my high confidence prediction would be on multi-cloud, and of course, it's not like all those clouds would come together and all the barriers would be removed. No, it won't happen like that way. But of course, multiple clouds can come together. Like if we talk of Windows and Mac, of course, both operating system, but we don't put them on the same dish. So even in case of cloud computing also, there may be cloud offerings which may not go together. And like if I move forward, there are technologies like containers or Kubernetes or Dockers, which are very much in extension. If we talk about traditional deployment, what we have is hardware as the bad stuff. On top of it, we have operating system and all those applications. But when we go to cloud, we have virtualized deployment. So on operating system, we have hypervisor, and on top of hypervisors, we have different applications. But now with container, what we do, we have Dockers on top of operating systems, and Kubernetes and Dockers work together to build and run containerized applications. So these are kind of technologies, or in fact the extensions to the existing technologies that one would look into. Then comes edge. So I think edge is not also a very new stuff. It's been there for a while. Basically, we have cloud data centers like the servers on the top, and beneath it we have, you may put fog, of course. Some researchers use this word fog, and then comes the edge devices. All those devices or all those high computing servers on machines, right? But the question over here with edge computing is also, who owns the edge? So that's a very good question to ask. Are you renting the edge? Is it on-prem, or is it going to be on cloud? So these are kind of stuff that the CIO or CTO would be looking into when we talk of edge computing. And then comes a couple of other terminologies like serverless and microservices. So basically, serverless is like the name suggests, is not physically the infrastructure where server is absent. Of course, the servers are there. The only thing is the services are provided in such a way that the developers or the users are completely unaware of the existence of the server. So it provides backend services on, of course, the pay-as-you-go way, and it allows users to write and deploy codes without the hassle of worrying about the underlying server infrastructures. Right, so that's about the serverless thing. And as I said, physical servers are there in the serverless state also. Next comes the microservices. So far as microservices are there, we have the complete architecture goes something like this. We have users on one side, right, and those cloud or devices are on one side, which are talking to edge services through some API management, and those APIs are connected to microservices. So basically, microservices are the architectural approach to create cloud applications. Each application is built as a set of services. This is important in case of microservices. Each application is built as a set of services, and each service is run its own processes and communicates through API. And this concept is not very new. Like, in fact, it's been there for like a couple of decades. And if I move forward, of course, this is not, as I said, this is not an extension to cloud, or it's not an emerging trend in cloud, but IoT itself is a separate term. And we put the things together like IoT and cloud. Sometimes we put the things together to get something achieved. So IoT is also a kind of stuff wherein huge amount of data. Normally the word we use is big data. So we generate a big data, and to store this big data, we need a platform such as cloud computing. So IoT and cloud, they work in collaboration sometimes. And of course, the cloud is, the centralized server wherein the resources are there, and the data which are being generated by IoT, they are processed at the cloud. So IoT is something which I think, many times people use it along with cloud computing. And the most important part, I think, in fact, Jagdish ji even mentioned this, artificial intelligence, the usage So like in one of the conference, like few months back, Mr. Jamie Dimon, he stated a statement that AI, that the usage of AI would not offer, like for 10% of improvement in your overall performance, but it would, make it 10x. So this is something which is very optimistic. And the data-driven enterprises are being replaced by AI-driven enterprises. All right. And now there are companies like Law and Dept, Chief AI Officer. So this is a kind of thing which we can think of, that AI is going to play a major role in combination with cloud. Of course, AI is having many other applications, right, in robotics and all other. But if we talk of cloud, AI along with cloud is going to play a major role over here. And of course, last but not the least, the blockchain technology. Blockchain has been there for like the last few years. And basically, as we know, the blockchain itself is a separate technology, just like AI only, but it can be used. It can be used along with, cloud computing to solve the issues of security, because this is the major area or the theme of this conference, that even in the morning Sri Vijay Nehra ji also mentioned the significance of security, followed by Jagdish ji. So security is a major concern over here, and the nature of blockchain is such, like basically blockchain is a distributed ledger, so you have a copy of the same stuff everywhere. All right, so that is something which we can use in case of cloud to provide better security, because, and of course, along with, because the major part in case of cloud is your application or data, or applications and data are stored remotely. So you don't have, enough confidence upon those cloud service providers. So you need something wherein you are assured that the cloud service provider has minimal or no role on your application execution or on your data storage. And for that, the beautiful, the technology could be a smart contracts, wherein once deployed, because before deploying, even the cloud service provider or the stakeholders would agree on the code, would agree on those conditions, and once deployed, neither the user be able to change it. So I guess the introduction of blockchain, or specifically the smart contract in this cloud computing, would result into solutions to many security problems. And of course, the security, one of those, if we talk of specific security issue, is lock tampering, because many times in case when we dig into the issues, when we dig into those issues of cybercrime, at the end we go all the way up to those transactional logs, and if the logs are tampered, then we do not have much options with us. So the blockchain technology offers you something wherein it is almost practically infeasible, impossible to change those transactional logs. So this blockchain with cloud would result into many solutions to the security problems of cloud computing. So I think briefly I have discussed the various technologies and variants or extensions to the cloud computing, and how they can be used to resolve the existing issues.